Hello, welcome to HITC Sport, and no, forget the incoming transfers for a minute. No, let's take a look at every Premier League's player they've either sold or released this summer that for one reason or another just feels a bit weird. Right, let's go. Arsenal, Matteo Guendouzi to Marseille. Okay, someone needs to help me out with this one. Matteo Guendouzi is 22 and seemed to chew his Arsenal career into soggy pizza before lockdown last year. Remember when he apparently treated Neil Maupay like someone on such a measly wage that he was probably forced to spend the night drinking soup at a homeless shelter, right? Apparently Mikel Arteta wasn't impressed by his young midfielder having the ego of a Beverly Hills socialite, and the fact he clearly hasn't washed his hair since 2006 was probably a personal insult to the Spanish hygiene freak. But you loaned him to Hertha Berlin last season just to get him out of your hair. Great! So why don't you cash in? Guendouzi's already written a goodbye letter to the Arsenal fans, so agreeing to loan him again to Marseille, just why? It's like being dumped by your wife over text, and so you agree to spend the next year sleeping on the couch. No, move out. This is a player they could easily have sold for at least 10 million quid. So letting Marseille borrow him for a year, this smacks of when QPR's relationship with Joey Barton was lying face down in a ditch, and instead of cutting ties permanently, they just let Marseille have him for a year. Clearly Marseille are just that club who only exists now to borrow toxic midfielders with egos on par with Donald Trump. Good Christ. Aston Villa, Tom Heaton to Man United. Lads, Tom Heaton is an injury-prone 35-year-old Aston Villa bench-warming goalkeeper. This is a fella who used to play in the same Manchester United youth team as Paul McShane before being tossed away like a leftover egg sandwich back in 2010. So who in a cat's left nutball predicted Man United to be signing him this summer? Man United, Tom Heaton. Yeah, that is a bit underwhelming, right? Lads, there's going to be a goalkeeping upheaval at Old Trafford this summer. Sergio Romero and his wife are still disgusted they weren't allowed to leave for Everton, so he'll be gone. Dean Henderson will probably go back out on loan, not content with staying on the bench for another season. So that leaves two vacant goalkeeping positions to fill at the club. Similarly, Tom Heaton is an injury stain on Aston Villa's bench, and I can see him at the age of 34 returning to Old Trafford as third choice goalie, replacing Romero in the stands. You'll see. Oh, what's that? Yeah, it's just a footballing oracle. I'm like that fat one out of the Matrix. Not even Heaton and his wife thought they'd be winding up at Old Trafford next season. Good Christ, the man is so injury prone, he'd probably have a back spasm just trying to butter a slice of toast. But yeah, a 2-year deal at Old Trafford to try and take the gloves off someone who, while he was a Manchester United player, was playing for the Carlisle under-10s. Brentford, Emiliano Marcondes to Bournemouth. Ruthless and disgusting. Honestly, trying to stomach this is like trying to eat a hamburger made of hair. Emiliano Marcondes is a Danish attacking midfielder who played 31 games for Brentford last season, scored and was named man of the match in the Wembley playoff final win over Swansea. And this guy who'd lost actual teeth playing for the club just a week before. This guy was one of your stars last season. Without him, you wouldn't be in the Premier League. And you've decided not to renew his contract and to just throw him out to Bournemouth. It's quite disgusting. Does somebody want to explain this one for me? He scored in the playoff final. He was man of the match. Even if he's not going to be a starter, just keep him in the background. Don't sentence him to playing a season under Scott Parker. No one wants that. Brighton, Matt Ryan to Real Sociedad. There is not one single person on planet Earth who could have possibly predicted this. Listen, I thought Matt Ryan sealing a mid-season loan switch to Arsenal last season was weird, but winding up in La Liga as a Real Sociedad goalkeeper on a 2-year deal, again, it's bizarre. I know he's played in this league before with Valencia, but the entire Brighton goalkeeping situation just seems extra nutty. Ryan was an undisputed modern-day club legend, a steady Premier League #1. Then he inexplicably loses his place to Robert Sanchez, a goalie whose prior experience was at Forest Green Rovers and Rochdale, and then he goes on to keep the most expensive goalie on the planet out of the Spain squad, while Ryan is now in the same Sociedad team as David Silva. It just seems a bit weird. Burnley, Robbie Brady to nowhere. Okay, maybe Burnley fans won't be too upset by this, but I'm sorry, to me this was just bizarre. Robbie Brady is an Irish legend. He's one of the greatest human beings on planet Earth. And not only this, he was once Burnley's record signing at £13 million. I know he's had injuries and never scored more than 1 league goal in a season for the Clarets, so you could probably call him an injury-prone flop with the muscle strength of wet cabbage. But to me, just tossing him away into the perils of unemployment, it's sad and worrying for the Irish national team. But Christ, it's mid-July and he's still out of work. Somebody offer him a deal quick, or else one of Ireland's most creative players is going to be back working on a crumbling building site or fixing toilets at the back arse of County Cavan. Chelsea, Victor Moses to Spartak Moscow. Listen, I could touch on Thomas Tuchel tossing away a World Cup winning super sub like Olivier Giroud to AC Milan along with Fikayo Tomori, but I'm sorry, no, the weirdest transfer out of Stamford Bridge this summer is Victor Moses. For the first time since August 2012, this man is no longer a Chelsea Chelsea player. Lads, he's outlived 3 American presidents. How the hell has he been contracted at Stamford Bridge for so long? He had 18 months of starting under Antonio Conte as a right wing back, and that's about it. He's been loaned out 6 different times. Lads, it took Chelsea 5 different bids to finally sign him from Wigan in 2012. He was signed the day before they got Cesar Azpilicueta, and he was almost immediately stuffed to the bench. Lads, he's just 12 months off a Chelsea testimonial. Now yeah, he's been officially sold to Spartak Moscow for £4.5 million. But to me, I was honestly convinced this guy would be buried alive at Stamford Bridge. Crystal Palace, Andros Townsend to Everton. Andros Townsend is another player who surprisingly lasted so long at Crystal Palace, considering he was linked with a Newcastle return just 3 months into his Selhurst Park move back in 2016. But the fact he's been able to blag himself a free transfer to Everton at 30 years of age, when he's only scored 1 goal in each of his last 2 seasons, fair play. But if Rafa Benitez is expecting the zippy, live wire, 25-year-old winger that he had at Newcastle, you know, a man hungry to get into the England squad, then he's very quickly going to cry into his morning shepherd's pie. Because Townsend is now 30, his pace has disappeared on the toilet, and he has love handles made of ready brick. You just know he's going to be another Theo Walcott type Everton signing wasting away on the bench. You'd think they would learn. Everton, Josh King to Watford. Josh King is a man who's officially ruined his career through the very art of sulking. You can already predict it. A guy who used to have world-class purple patches of form at Bournemouth. Don't forget, he once scored 16 goals in a Premier League season. But ever since his dream Manchester United move broke down 18 months ago, he spat out his dummy, sulked, got relegated, failed to score a single goal in the Championship, and somehow got a move to Everton in February. But again, like Ryan Fraser, his focus and drive for the sport had been utterly rocked to a point where he was no longer able to control his feet. This guy used to be the Norwegian poster boy goal machine, but now the emergence of Erling Haaland, by contrast, now makes him look about as impressive to Norway fans as a bowl of Special K. And now a free transfer move to Watford. I'm calling it. Being overlooked for Odion Ighalo clearly turned his confidence into scrambled egg. He's gonna now waddle about like a drunken mannequin, and he's not even gonna sniff out a single goal. Leeds, Barry Douglas to Lech Poznan. Yes, here we live in a world where former Dundee left back Barry Douglas has signed for Lech Poznan in Poland. It just doesn't really fit. And yes, I know he spent 3 years there between 2013 and 2016. Yes, I know he won the Polish league with them, but it doesn't make it sound any less bizarre. Barry Douglas, he sounds like someone who should be organising the local bingo night down the local caravan site in County Wicklow. Not playing for Lech Poznan, it's mad. Leicester, Matty James to Bristol City. Again, like Victor Moses, this is a big moment. Matty James has finally left Leicester City 9 years after signing for them. It's a real shame injuries have utterly destroyed this man's body, and he's barely been seen the last 5 years. So yeah, a £900,000 move to Bristol City. It's a great fresh start for the guy, but I can only assume passing a medical in Bristol is about as easy as picking up a yeast infection from your dentist who's just come back from a 2-week stag licking toilet bowls and mega luff. Liverpool, Gini Wijnaldum to PSG. Ozzy, does someone want to tell me why Liverpool have allowed Gini Wijnaldum to waddle off to PSG in a free transfer? Good Christ, he's a modern day club legend. If this man wanted more years out of his contract, just give it to him. Don't let one of the best midfielders in your club's history just walk out of your club for less than a packet of quavers. If PSG wind up winning the Champions League next season, every Liverpool fan is going to feel like punching their owner in the face. Man City, Sergio Aguero to Barcelona. I have no doubt that Sergio Aguero would have stayed another 2 years at Man City if that was offered to him. His plan was always to retire at Independiente in Argentina. Not once did he ever talk about a return to La Liga. I know he's had his injuries, and yes, I realise it makes sense to bin a footballer who only scored 4 league goals last season when he's on nearly £250,000 every week. It makes financial sense, yes, but we saw it towards the end of the season, like when he spanked in 2 goals in that 5-0 last day win over Everton. Aguero has another season left in the tank. I think chucking him off to Barcelona for 3 Freddos and a handshake, just very disrespectful. Man United, Tahith Chong to Birmingham City. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. Why is Tahith Chong being loaned to Birmingham City? This is a nearly 22-year-old winger who's done nothing to merit being kept on the payroll at Old Trafford. Christ, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can't even guarantee Jesse Lingard game time next season. You would think the arrival of Jadon Sancho would now see United cash in on Chong. So a year-long loan to Birmingham, what's the point? Newcastle, Christian Atsu to Ale Raid FC. So Christian Atsu has finally left the Newcastle building. When he first arrived in 2017, he was marketed as a lightning-quick former Porto and Chelsea wonder kid. Turns out he's got the end product of a melted Barbie doll, and good Christ, 3 goals in nearly 90 matches for the Magpies. Is this some sort of sick joke? But a 29-year-old Ghanaian international, this move, it's a bit strange moving to Saudi Arabia with Al Raid FC, meaning he's going to be drinking pints of cash. This fella's probably on £100,000 a week. Norwich, Alex Teddy to Rosenborg. Again, Alex Teddy's a 35-year-old man who's probably held together by sellotape and hope, but I still think this is worth mentioning. This is a guy who Paul Lambert signed for Norwich 2 days after Chelsea signed Victor Moses. And lads, he spent 9 years of his life at Carrow Road. He's just returned to Rosenborg on a free transfer, but lads, Norwich starting a Premier League season without their comfort blanket of Alex Teddy, it just doesn't feel right. Southampton, Ryan Bertrand to Leicester. Listen, don't get me wrong, this is a quality bargain free transfer signing for Leicester City, but I just didn't see it coming. Ryan Bertrand has been linked with a move away from Southampton every summer since he signed with them in 2014. I assumed his big move had disappeared, that he was just going to retire on the South Coast. So come on lads, what happened? How did you lose him now? Tottenham, Danny Rose to Watford. Danny Rose just got himself a Premier League move. How? Honestly, how? This guy's a 31-year-old left back who just spent last season training with the Tottenham kids and before that stumbled through 12 underwhelming matches at Newcastle. This exiled lump of spinache's next move was surely to the Championship with someone like Nottingham Forest. How he's managed to blag a free transfer move to a newly promoted Watford? How? Did nobody see the Tottenham document? Avoid at all costs? Watford, Jerome Sinclair to nowhere. You know what? This isn't surprising. It's just sad. You remember Jerome Sinclair? This other Watford flop was always going to be released after just 9 games in 5 years. But he's only 24 and now both he and Jordan Ibe, 2 men tipped to be the heir to Raheem Sterling at Anfield, they're now both in their mid-20s and probably searching for toilet cleaning jobs on the internet. It's just sad. West Ham, Felipe Anderson to Lazio. This has to be the greatest deal in Lazio's history. In 2018, they sold Brazilian starlet Felipe Anderson to West Ham for £36 million for what was essentially a 3-year loan, because now they're able to re-sign him for just pennies, 4.5 million. For the financial gurus at West Ham, this must be embarrassing. Wolves, RUI PATRICIO to Roma. The Wolves project is falling apart. Seeing a 33-year-old world-class goalie like RUI PATRICIO now give up on the club in favour of signing for Jose Mourinho at Roma for £13 million. Wolves fans must be close to choking on their own teeth. Anyway, that's it. Let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and as always, I'll talk to you in a while.